The Galactic Council's sprawling assembly of advanced alien civilizations represented the height of galactic evolution, or so they believed. Each species in the Council prided itself on its mastery of harmonic resonance, a technology capable of manipulating the very fabric of existence through the perfect balance of energy and matter. For centuries, they had wielded this power with elegance and precision, reshaping planets, neutralizing threats, and solidifying their dominance across the stars. In their eyes, humanity was little more than a footnote in the galactic story, an odd anomaly relegated to observer status. Earth's relatively recent rise into the interstellar arena had been tolerated, not welcomed. Earth's representatives were often met with condescension. The Council saw them as an amusing relic of chaos, a species still entangled in their unpredictable emotions and brute force technologies. Yet it was this very unpredictability that led to the discovery that would change the course of the galaxy forever. On the fringes of map space, Earth's fledgling exploration program had stumbled upon something unprecedented and terrifying. A small probe, designed to scan uncharted systems, sent back fragmented signals of an approaching anomaly. By the time Earth scientists decoded the data, the threat had already moved beyond theory. The Singularity Swarm, a myth among even the oldest Council records, was real. What had been dismissed as ancient paranoia was now a tangible, looming menace. The swarm defied understanding. It was not a species, nor a weapon, but a living cascade of hyper-adaptive nanomachines, capable of dismantling matter at the atomic level and assimilating it into its ever-growing hive. Star systems vanished in its wake, their energy and resources consumed to fuel the swarm's exponential growth. What terrified Earth's researchers most was its ability to evolve. Every defense recorded in ancient texts had failed, each countermeasure only hastening its advance. And now, it was accelerating toward the galaxy's populated core. Earth's leaders acted swiftly, bypassing protocol to contact the Council. Within days, a small delegation arrived, led by Dr. Mira Kwan, Earth's foremost expert in chaotic systems. She stood in the Council's grand chamber, dwarfed by its towering architecture and the imposing presence of alien dignitaries. Her voice, calm but insistent, echoed through the hall as she laid out the threat. Visuals of the swarm's movements painted a grim picture. Star after star went dark as the swarm consumed its way inward. "This isn't just Earth's problem," Dr. Kwan declared. "This is an extinction-level event for the entire galaxy. And we are running out of time." The room buzzed with quiet disdain. Chancellor Eirik, a leader of the Trivarn Empire and a staunch believer in the Council's superiority, rose to speak. His tone was one of controlled irritation. "Your species' penchant for dramatics is well documented," he said. "You speak of a myth as if it is fact. Even if such a swarm exists, the Council's fleets are more than capable of neutralizing it." Kwan anticipated the response. She had prepared for it, but the weight of their dismissal still hit hard. She activated a display, showing Earth's proposed solution, the Resonant Wave Nullification System, or RWN. It was a chaotic harmonic disruptor, designed to destabilize the swarm's molecular cohesion. Unlike the Council's refined harmonics, which relied on precision and balance, RWN embraced chaos, using unpredictability as a weapon. "This system is untested," Kwan admitted, "but it's built for exactly this scenario. The swarm thrives on adaptation. It evolves too quickly for elegant solutions. Chaotic resonance is the only method that can outpace its learning curve." The chamber erupted in laughter. Another delegate, whose species prided itself on harmonic artistry, waved dismissively. "Chaos? This is what humans bring us," he scoffed. "Your crude approaches may work for primitive conflicts, but the Council's technologies are far beyond such barbarism." Kwan's jaw tightened, but she pressed on. She detailed the swarm's capacity for adaptation, emphasizing the failure of all previous harmonics-based countermeasures. The Council's confidence, she warned, was misplaced. Still, the aliens remained unmoved. Chancellor Eirik delivered the final blow. "The Council's fleet will address this. Humanity's input is unnecessary." And just like that, the decision was made. The Council's vast fleet, a collection of thousands of ships from dozens of civilizations, mobilized to intercept the swarm. Earth was ordered to stand down, its warnings dismissed as the desperate cries of an inexperienced species. Quan left the chamber with a heavy heart. She knew the truth. The Council's arrogance was about to collide with a reality they were woefully unprepared to face. On Earth, the reaction was one of quiet resolve. The dismissal was expected, but not accepted. In underground labs and hidden facilities, teams of engineers and scientists continued refining the RWN system. They knew it was only a matter of time before the Council's plan failed. And when it did, humanity would need to be ready. The Galactic Council's fleet was a sight to behold, a testament to centuries of harmonious engineering and precision warfare. Thousands of ships formed intricate formations, their sleek, luminous designs radiating the confidence of a civilization that had never faced defeat. To the Council, this operation was routine. The swarm, though an anomaly, was viewed as just another challenge to be resolved through the perfection of their harmonic weaponry. The fleet moved toward the edge of the swarm's domain with calculated elegance. Commanders aboard their flagship vessels monitored the energy fields, detecting the first signs of the approaching anomaly. At this distance, the swarm resembled a swirling, blackened cloud of particles, chaotic and formless. But the Council's confidence never wavered. Their harmonic resonance cannons were calibrated for precision, capable of destabilizing molecular structures with a single burst of focused energy. As the fleet advanced, the commanders exchanged messages of confidence, certain their superior technology would triumph. The first encounter began as predicted. The harmonic cannons unleashed waves of destructive energy, cutting through the swarm's edge like a blade through silk. The outer layers of the anomaly disintegrated, particles scattering into harmless debris. The commanders reported success, and the fleet pressed forward, their firepower carving channels through the massive cloud. For a brief moment, victory seemed assured. The swarm's response appeared disorganized, its chaotic movements interpreted as the random flailing of an overwhelmed force. However, that confidence began to waver as the swarm adapted. Its chaotic motion wasn't a sign of weakness, it was a process of analysis. Within minutes, the swarm's fragments began to reassemble, morphing into dense, coordinated structures. The harmonic bursts, once so effective, suddenly failed to penetrate. The resonance waves were absorbed, their energy dissipated harmlessly. The swarm had learned. Reports of failure spread rapidly through the fleet. Commanders recalibrated their weapons, increasing the intensity and complexity of their harmonic patterns. But the swarm adapted faster. For every new frequency deployed, the swarm reconfigured itself, rendering the attack useless. The fleet's precision became its downfall. Each adjustment was predictable, each solution countered before it could inflict significant damage. The swarm struck back with terrifying efficiency. Its particles condensed into vast tendrils, each targeting the fleet with surgical precision. Ships were enveloped, their hulls disassembled in moments as the swarm consumed their materials to fuel its growth. Advanced shielding systems crumbled under the onslaught. The fleet's formations, once so meticulous, descended into chaos as ships broke ranks, attempting to evade the swarm's relentless assault. Panic spread among the Council's forces. Commanders who had once mocked the idea of chaotic tactics now faced a foe that thrived on unpredictability. Communications became fragmented as the fleet's chain of command collapsed under the sheer scale of destruction. Ships that attempted to retreat found themselves cut off, the swarm blocking every avenue of escape. The once proud fleet was reduced to scattered remnants, their advanced technology rendered useless against an adversary that evolved faster than they could adapt. Within hours, the Council's fleet was obliterated. Thousands of ships, the pride of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations, were reduced to raw material, absorbed into the swarm's ever-expanding mass. The battlefield, once alive with the glow of harmonic energy, was now eerily silent. The swarm continued its advance, undeterred and unchallenged. As the fleet fell, the Council's command centers were thrown into disarray. News of the annihilation reached the galactic core, sparking widespread panic. The reality of the swarm's power was undeniable, and the implications were devastating. The galaxy's most advanced civilizations, those who had stood unchallenged for millennia, were now on the brink of extinction. The swarm was not just a threat, it was an existential crisis. In their desperation, the Council scrambled to regroup. Messages were sent to Allied systems, urging them to prepare for the swarm's inevitable arrival. But the truth was clear to those in power: no fleet, no technology within their arsenal could stop what was coming. The Council's confidence had been shattered, their arrogance exposed as their greatest weakness. Amid the chaos, a single message was sent to Earth. The Council, once so dismissive, now turned to humanity for help. Their tone, once laced with derision, was now one of desperation. They had no choice but to acknowledge what they had ignored: Earth's chaotic resonance technology might be the galaxy's only hope. But for Earth, this was not a moment of vindication. The destruction of the Council's fleet was a sobering reminder of the stakes they faced. Humanity understood what the Council still struggled to grasp: the swarm wasn't just a foe to be defeated. It was a force of nature, an entity that required a new way of thinking to overcome. And humanity, with its unorthodox strategies and unrelenting determination, was ready to step forward. The swarm, undeterred by its victory, continued its advance toward the galactic core. For Earth, the path ahead was clear. They had warned the galaxy, and they had been ignored. Now, the burden of survival rested on their shoulders. The battle against the swarm was far from over, but humanity was prepared to fight. The message from the Galactic Council arrived with none of the pomp and arrogance Earth had come to expect. Stripped of pretense, it was a desperate plea for survival. The once dismissive Council now openly admitted their failure. The fleet, the pride of their collective civilizations, was gone, their technology rendered meaningless against the Singularity Swarm. The swarm had shifted course, moving inexorably toward the galactic core, threatening to consume the heart of their existence. And so, with humiliation weighing heavily, they turned to humanity. Earth's leaders received the message without celebration. There was no time for vindication. The swarm's rapid advance meant they had days, maybe weeks, to act before it reached critical systems. Humanity's only demand was control. If they were to save the galaxy, it would be on their terms. The Council, stripped of options, reluctantly agreed. For the first time in the history of the Galactic Federation, Earth's representatives took the lead. Dr. Miraquan, now commanding the unified efforts of humanity and the Council, wasted no time. The Council's ships, though technologically advanced, were useless in their current state. Humanity's resonant wave nullification system, the chaotic disruptor they had been mocked for, was the only hope of destabilizing the swarm. Quan's first directive was to retrofit the remaining Council fleet with chaotic harmonic amplifiers. The process was far from smooth. The Council's scientists and engineers balked at the chaotic designs. Their entire technological philosophy revolved around precision and balance, the antithesis of the erratic, unpredictable systems humanity proposed. Quan, unflinching, dismissed their objections. She explained the necessity of chaos, that the swarm thrived on order and adaptation. The only way to counter it was through relentless unpredictability, to create a system so chaotic that even the swarm couldn't adapt fast enough. Earth's teams worked around the clock. Human engineers and programmers introduced randomization algorithms into the Council's ships, dismantling their harmonic systems and replacing them with disruptive patterns. It was a strange sight: alien vessels, elegant and refined, now filled with the messy, haphazard wiring and systems humanity was known for. Chaos was no longer just a strategy, it was their weapon. Captain Arlen Vega, chosen to lead the retrofitted fleet, understood the stakes better than anyone. A veteran of countless skirmishes, Vega embodied the resilience and ingenuity that defined humanity's spirit. His first challenge wasn't the swarm, it was the Council itself. Alien commanders, still clinging to their pride, bristled under his leadership. They questioned his strategies, his reliance on unpredictability. But Vega silenced their doubts with action. The first test of the retrofitted fleet came sooner than expected. A small tendril of the swarm, branching ahead of the main force, appeared at the edge of the system. It was an opportunity to prove the chaotic harmonics in real combat. The alien commanders hesitated, uncertain of Vega's plan, but he gave them no choice. Humanity was in charge now. The fleet engaged, their chaotic disruptors firing in bursts of erratic energy. Unlike the Council's harmonics, these weapons didn't seek balance or precision. They overwhelmed the swarm with randomness, bombarding it with frequencies that shifted faster than it could adapt. The results were immediate. The tendril, which had easily neutralized the Council's original fleet, began to falter. Its particles destabilized, collapsing into inert matter. The swarm, for the first time, was forced to retreat. The victory, though small, was a turning point. The alien commanders could no longer deny the effectiveness of Earth's methods. They begrudgingly fell in line, following Vega's orders without protest. But the celebration was short-lived. The tendril was just a fraction of the swarm's power. The real battle lay ahead. As the retrofits continued, humanity unveiled its final plan, a massive resonant wave nullification generator, built into Earth's moon, Luna. The Council's ships would serve as the front line, drawing the swarm into position. Once the swarm was concentrated, Luna's generator would release a galaxy-wide pulse of chaotic resonance, targeting the swarm's core and destabilizing it permanently. It was a risky strategy. If the timing was off, the swarm could absorb the energy, evolving beyond even chaotic harmonics. But there was no alternative. The weight of the operation fell heavily on Vega and his crew. Every calculation, every maneuver, had to align perfectly. The retrofitted fleet, now a bizarre combination of alien sophistication and human improvisation, would face the full force of the swarm. And yet the humans pressed on. They knew what the Council still struggled to grasp. This was not a war of technology or power. It was a battle of will, of determination, of the ability to adapt in the face of the unimaginable. As the final preparations were made, Vega addressed his fleet. His words, simple yet resolute, carried the weight of humanity's unyielding spirit. We were told we didn't belong here. That we were too primitive, too chaotic. And maybe they were right. But today, that chaos is our greatest strength. We will not just survive, we will prevail. Not because we are stronger, but because we refuse to give up. The fleet, a patchwork of human and alien collaboration, prepared for battle. The swarm was coming, and with it, the galaxy's last chance for survival. Humanity, once dismissed as insignificant, was now its only hope. The swarm loomed over the galactic core, a relentless mass of shimmering, chaotic particles devouring everything in its path. The Council's remaining fleet, now fully retrofitted with chaotic resonance systems under Earth's guidance, formed a fragile defensive line. Every being across the galaxy watched in silence as the final battle began, knowing the outcome would determine whether their civilizations endured or vanished into nothingness. Captain Arlen Vega stood at the helm of the flagship, his calm voice carrying commands to the fleet. The retrofitted ships moved into position, their chaotic harmonics generators humming with a discordant energy that felt alien even to the humans who had designed them. The swarm surged forward, tendrils of nanomachines probing the fleet's defenses, testing their limits. Vega knew what was coming. The initial attacks were not the true assault. They were data collection, the swarm's way of analyzing its prey before delivering its killing blow. The fleet opened fire. Waves of chaotic resonance pulsed outward, each blast deliberately randomized to overwhelm the swarm's adaptive systems. At first, the results were promising. Tendrils of the swarm disintegrated under the relentless assault, collapsing into harmless clouds of inert particles. But the swarm learned quickly, as it always did. Tendrils that had fallen moments before now reformed, their structures more resilient to the chaotic frequencies. The humans had anticipated this. Their weapons were not meant to destroy the swarm outright but to keep it contained, to hold the line until Luna's resonant wave nullification generator could fire. The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. Ships darted and weaved through an endless storm of nanomachines, their chaotic resonance systems firing in wild, unpredictable patterns. Alien commanders, once rigid in their strategies, now fought with the same reckless ingenuity they had once scorned. Human officers coordinated the effort, directing the fleet with a level of improvisation that no other species could replicate. Every move was a gamble, every maneuver a calculated risk. And yet the fleet held. On Luna, the massive RWN generator was nearing activation. Dr. Miraquan oversaw the final calibrations, her mind racing through calculations that even the most advanced AI couldn't process. The generator, built to release a galaxy-wide pulse of chaotic resonance, was humanity's ultimate weapon. But it was also their greatest risk. The pulse would destabilize the swarm's core, but if mistimed, it could instead feed the swarm, making it invincible. There was no room for error. As the swarm pressed harder, the fleet began to falter. Ships that had held the line for hours were now being torn apart, their chaotic systems overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the swarm's assault. Captain Vega, watching the carnage, made a decision. He ordered his flagship to move into the heart of the swarm, a maneuver so dangerous it bordered on suicidal. The alien commanders protested, but Vega silenced them with a single, resolute command. "We are out of time. Either we push back or we die." The flagship surged forward, its chaotic resonance generators firing at maximum capacity. The ship became a beacon of destruction, carving a path through the swarm with relentless energy. Other ships followed, inspired by Vega's leadership, their crews pushing their vessels beyond their limits. The line, once on the verge of collapse, began to stabilize. But the cost was immense. For every ship that held, another fell, consumed by the swarm's unyielding hunger. Dr. Kwan received the signal. The fleet had done its part, holding the swarm in position long enough for Luna's generator to activate. She initiated the final sequence, her hands steady despite the weight of the moment. The generator roared to life, its chaotic resonance building to a crescendo. Across the galaxy, observers watched as Luna lit up, a blinding pulse of energy radiating outward in all directions. The pulse hit the swarm with devastating force. Its nanomachines, designed to adapt to any predictable threat, found themselves overwhelmed by the sheer unpredictability of the chaotic resonance. Tendrils collapsed, their structures unraveling faster than they could reform. The swarm, once an unstoppable force, began to falter. But it wasn't over. The swarm's core, a dense, pulsating mass at the center of the chaos, resisted the pulse, its particles vibrating with a frequency unlike anything seen before. It was adapting, absorbing the energy and using it to strengthen itself. Quan realized the horrifying truth: the swarm's core needed one final disruption to be neutralized. And that disruption had to come from within. Vega made the call. He ordered his flagship, now battered and barely holding together, to plunge directly into the swarm's core. His crew, understanding the gravity of the moment, offered no resistance. The ship pushed forward, cutting through waves of nanomachines as the rest of the fleet provided cover. As the flagship reached the core, Vega activated his ship's resonance system at full power, channeling the chaotic frequencies directly into the heart of the swarm. The result was instantaneous. The core destabilized, its particles scattering in every direction. The swarm, deprived of its central intelligence, collapsed. Tendrils disintegrated, their particles rendered inert. The threat was over. The cost of victory was staggering. Hundreds of ships were lost, their crews sacrificing everything to hold the line. But the galaxy had survived. The swarm was gone, its endless march of destruction halted by a species the Council had once dismissed as insignificant. In the aftermath, the Galactic Council convened once more, but the tone was different. Humanity, once relegated to observer status, was now recognized as an equal power. The Council's leaders, humbled by their failure and humanity's triumph, offered their respect and gratitude. But Earth did not seek glory. For them, the battle was not about proving their worth but about survival, and ensuring that the galaxy was prepared for whatever came next. As the Council rebuilt, humanity took its place among the stars, not as conquerors but as innovators, their chaotic ingenuity forever changing the balance of power in the galaxy. The swarm's defeat was not just a victory for Earth, it was a testament to the strength of chaos, resilience, and the unyielding spirit of a species that refused to give up.